Welcome back, everybody. It's One Last Try Gaming. I am Gambino. Joining me tonight are Griebs and Cook. Gentlemen, welcome.
Yeah.
Hello.
We are back for our traditional post-game wrap-up discussion. We're going to do something a little different this time. We're going to keep this one on the shorter side of things. So if you find that what we go through today is not enough detail for you, please feel free to go back and watch our videos because we put a lot of effort into them. We think they're very entertaining, and we would love it if you could check out our videos and watch. And please like and subscribe if you can. If this is your first video of ours, we've got a whole catalog of games that we've played through that we would love for you to check out. So please support us and give us your time with the views. So we're going to jump right in, talk about Mass Effect Legendary Edition. This is the first time that either Cook or Griebs have experienced this game. Is that correct, gentlemen?
Correct.
The full game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The full game, yes. So, speaking of the full game, just a quick detail of the story. We play as a character named Shepard, who is a human who is on a mission to stop Saren, who is the bad guy that we're after. It turns out Saren is working for someone named Sovereign, who is part of the Reapers, who have a whole cycle of letting organic life forms hit the peak of their abilities and their civilization, and then the Reapers come along and wipe them out, and the cycle starts all over again. And so now we are nearing the end of that cycle. The Reapers are set to come back. Saren is working for them, and we work to stop Saren from allowing them to do that. So pretty big adventure. This is the fastest that I've ever played through a Mass Effect game. I felt like it was a challenge to dig in and do all the lore reading and go through all the side quests and do all that because I didn't feel it would be conducive to exciting gameplay for someone watching a Let's Play. We dug into the story. We jumped from story mission to story mission. We squeezed in a bottle episode, which I thought was a lot of fun. And overall, it was a pretty rapid playthrough. We got it done in 12 sessions. And why don't we talk about what everybody thought of the game? Cook, can you lead us off with your opinions? I think you were the biggest person that we had to sell to do this one. How do you feel after it's all said and done?
I think I liked it more than I thought I would. I think we've probably talked about this a few times, but since no one watches, nobody probably knows this, but I'm not really into stories in games. I think there are some games where the story I find to be really interesting, like Last of Us. Those games have kind of grabbed me,
yes,
for example, but like typically I'm not into playing games for stories. I prefer gameplay, just doing fun stuff. So I think Mass Effect, the reason why I said to you that at the beginning of this episode that this is the first time that I've seen the full extent of the game. I've started it probably like once or twice, but it could never grab me fast enough, or I guess I never played long enough for it to grab me, I should say.
Gotcha.
So I think I see a lot of the reasons why I am hesitant to play it, and I don't think I would enjoy playing it as much as watching it. I had a lot of fun watching you play. I thought what we were doing by changing who makes decisions was really fun. I thought that made for like some really interesting moments where it seemed like you guys thought I was like trying to go full renegade and like sabotage everything, but I wasn't. But it made that interesting because I could see Bino cringing in certain moments when we're making decisions because he thought I would do something weird. But I thought that was really fun. I thought just in general, like the story, or I guess more so like the world building, I guess, was really cool. Like how they seem to have just like a deep lore that's there for people that really wanted to dive into it. And the fact that you said like this is the quickest you've made it through the game before, I was actually going to ask, like, do you remember how long it took you to finish previously? Because we probably, what was this, like 12 hours or so that we finished it in?
This was 12 episodes, and I would say, we had some episodes that ran like 90 minutes. We had some episodes that we did in 45 minutes. So I think we averaged about 12 or 13 hours for this playthrough. And I want to say that I invested probably 20 to 30 hours in each of my Mass Effect playthroughs previously.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, there was a lot of there was a lot of times where roaming around in the Mako. So the very first mission that we did, where we got away from the Citadel, we got the Mako. We're out on our own on the Normandy, and we go to explore that planet and drive around with the Mako. And you guys are like, "Well, this is." I can see why this game got a lot of negative press over that. There's a lot of that we did not do during this playthrough because I simply avoided it. And so there's definitely rabbit holes that you can go down that eat a lot of time that add to that playthrough. So
was it the extra exploration that was kind of taking up or I guess making up that difference between the 12 and 130?
And so you would also find, like, let's say you spent a lot of time roaming around the Citadel. There's a lot of side characters who will have conversations that you'll overhear, and then you'll go talk to someone and they'll be like, "Oh, I need you to help me with this." And then you've got the ability to go fly to some other planet to get the thing that they're looking for or to solve the problem that they were needing your help with, and then go back for your reward. And so there's a lot of interplanetary travel that the story did not require you to do that we did not do.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I think, I mean, that aspect of stuff seemed neat, but I don't know how far I would go into it personally. I thought the way we played was fun. I still got attached to some of the characters and disliked a few of the characters as well, but I think that was good, like, for the feeling that I had.
Totally. And Griebs, what about you? How did you enjoy Mass Effect 1?
So I will admit that it took a few to maybe 5 or 6 episodes to really get into it. The beginning, I mean, it's a world, it's an environment, a story that's been created that the beginning you don't know anything about. So you're really trying to learn it and piece it together. And it can be very overwhelming. So you go there and say, "Hey, look at those little keepers running around to the Citadel." And I say, "What the heck is a keeper?" And we see all these alien races, and we have to learn who they are and what role they play. And we don't know if there's any significance to them or importance to them. And then we get told this mission from the council, which I still don't quite understand. There's specters and all this stuff. And so this idea of a conduit, this idea of all these races that no longer exist, that did exist before, but I don't have any of that background to really get it. It took some time to warm up to it, 100%. Once I had that background and was able to piece things together, having a 2 or 3 time played through master who I could ask questions to, it really helped a lot, because if I was playing through by myself, I would have played episode 1 and I would have said, "I don't understand what's going on here. I think I'm going to bug out." And that's probably what would have happened. But because you were here, I could ask you questions, which then would lead to my understanding, which would then lead to my enjoyment. So that was actually a big part of it. Like, if I had played it, I don't think I would have, unless I was even if I was forced to, I still don't think I would have understood it quite as well. And then once you get to episode 6, episode 7, and you start learning, hey, wait a second, there's this genocide thing happening. There's this undertone of human superiority versus human inferiority. There's these race relations that exist. It really starts to create this interesting fold of, hey, this actually connects to a lot of things that happen in real life. There's this better appreciation for, yes, it has real political connotations around it. I mean, there's still a lot of things that I don't necessarily, I think I understand, like, who was this Rachni thing, or where they came from. And I mean, I'd ask those questions along the way, and you'd say, that's a great question, but didn't always have answers. But I'm sure you could drill down a lot further and learn those things. So episodes 1 through 6, this game isn't doing it for me. But once you get that background, it becomes a lot easier to enjoy it. And when you're learning things, you're building on this information you already have instead of creating something from scratch. So I enjoyed it thoroughly, but it would not have happened without the social element. And then also going through it with Cook also made me feel less foolish, because he also had no background in it, and so we could make silly comments, and we could focus on silly things that we didn't really understand as well, like the relationships of the characters and stuff, and then how silly Ashley was, sassy Ashley was.
Yeah.
So I mean, it it was a really good experience, but I think it was magnified significantly by playing it with three people. The decision making was fun between the three of us because I imagine, although it wasn't as fun for you, it was probably a little bit more. You got to learn new stuff of the game because you were all of a sudden starting to make some decisions that you wouldn't necessarily have made. Now, I think on the overall, for the important decisions, which we'll talk about later, we probably made similar decisions to what you've made before.
Yep.
But I know on sometimes we were on the edge of, hey, wait a second, don't do this, don't say that to that person, because I wouldn't say it to that person. So
Yeah,
I
totally.
as a social experiment, I think it was also that decision making was really good. Whoever thought of that.
Yeah. Now, when we were talking about time limits, Griebs, were we 10 minutes each?
Yeah, I spoke a lot there, but you want my opinion. You got my opinion.
Yeah, totally. Shit.
All right, Bino,
That's
you have
funny.
you have a minute to give your opinion.
Going through the game and the differences between what I experienced the first time I played Mass Effect versus what I played now. There's this big saying that everybody knows that you can't go back home again. It's not the same when you return to something that you loved from your childhood. I grew up in one part of the world. Situations changed. We had to move and totally uproot our lives and move somewhere else. And every time that I went back to my original childhood home, it was like my heart was breaking because it was never the same as what I remember it as a child. And I was worried that was going to happen with Mass Effect. It is a game that's very near and dear to me, and this playthrough on the remastered Legendary Edition made me feel like this is the first time in my life I was able to go back and experience something the way that I remember it. And that was so nice. There's a very broad general consensus that that's what everybody's experiencing. Everybody who loved Mass Effect 1 is loving what they've done to remaster it in the Legendary Edition, and for me, is such a great thing that I'm very, very thankful for. I love what they did to the Mako. They made it definitely more drivable. Could have been better, but it was. You guys would have absolutely hated the way that gameplay played out in the first game, and then also too.
Sorry, I think I might have actually played the Mako parts when I first tried it.
That may have been what made you quit.
I think so.
My biggest gripe with the game is that even as someone who's played it and loved it, there's a lot of stuff that I found myself scratching my head trying to figure out, like how do you mark things as junk in your inventory? How do you manage your squad combat when you're on a mission? How do you use first aid, for crying out loud? There was a lot of things that the game made the assumption, oh yeah, these people are already pro Mass Effect players, and we don't need to give them the full tutorials on everything. There's a lot of stuff that I found that even like the symbols for the Omnigel and the currency and the Medigel grenades, we had no idea what any of that stuff was, and we had to do deductive logic to figure it out. A lot of stuff like that I felt maybe would definitely give a person like Griebs that sense of, I am totally overwhelmed here and I am scared to get into this because I don't understand anything. And that to me is something that they could have done a little better. So, but that's my only complaint. To me, the thing about the Mass Effect game is the story, the decision-making process. That's what sticks with me, and the characters, and that was all there. Bang on. Loved it.
Do you think you would have had more fun or less fun without us there?
I would have had an enjoyable time without you guys, but I would have wanted you there with me. I played through this game more quickly than I would have if I had played through it by myself. Yes, I would have made conversations that I wouldn't have done without you guys. But at the end of the playthrough, I would have felt like, man, I wish Griebs and Cook could have experienced this with me. And that to me is, I can play through the game anytime I want now that we're done recording it, and I can do it the way that I want. But you only get that one chance to share something with your friends, and that to me was the thing that I valued most about this one.
Cool. Glad to hear. It's touching.
Griebs, what was your favorite part of the game, and maybe after that, something that you felt they could have done a little better?
Wait, what? You just had favorite and something they could have done better.
Yeah,
I'm
two
confused.
things.
Sorry. Okay. So favorite was small things like when we punched the reporter. That was just sort of such a shocking moment, which leads also to my things they could have done better. Actually, it's perfect for my things they could have done better because sometimes what the decision point was in that little tree didn't quite correlate, or it correlated in a way that we couldn't quite understand what impact that what like a comment or whatever would have been. So we said, it said down there, "Have a good day," and then she says, "Have a good day," or something like that. So you can't really get that across. So it's not really getting the intended meaning. So there you go.
There we go. And then Cook, what's your favorite thing, and then something you thought maybe the game could have done better?
I think my favorite thing, I think just generally the way that they built the world and the characters. I think that just to me is a really great aspect about a game in general. Like, I think just having this universe that exists is really cool. You know, you can tell that they put in like a lot of thought and detail in like how to build it and how to construct everything, and like there's a lot of things that are interconnected, like Griebs had said. So I think to me that part was like the coolest aspect of it. And I think the gameplay for me just seemed really boring. I think that's the part that I know it's an RPG, so like the expectations were lower, but I just don't think I would have had fun playing the game at all.
Gotcha.
I think to me
just
that's
not your style of game.
Not my cup of tea.
Yep. Yeah, those are all valid things, things that I appreciate, and fortunately for me, it is the style of game that I love. I love reading sci-fi fantasy books. I love feeling like I'm stepping into a world that's existed forever. That we're now getting a small glimpse at something, and that's what this game provided for me. So we could talk about some important decisions that we made in the game that will play a part moving forward. So number one, we chose to release the Rachni Queen. So that will come back to play, or to come back into the story in the later episodes. We let Caden die over Ashley. We had to choose which one of the two got offed. Captain Anderson is part of a human council that was the result of us choosing to let the council die so that we could focus all of our efforts on stopping Sovereign. We didn't romance anybody, not on purpose, more of a whoops, we went a little too quickly through the story. We saved the colonists on Pharos, and then the biggest one is we didn't kill Rex when he was arguing for keeping the genophage cure. So that one's going to be big coming up. And so, speaking of coming up playthroughs, I'm very much going to push to have Mass Effect 2 be my game when it comes back to being my turn again, so that we can jump in. I know you guys are going to like Mass Effect 2 a lot more. Combat's better, story's better, way more decisions that get made that have major effects. It's going to be a pretty awesome playthrough. So overall, let's talk scores. Griebs, what did you give this game?
I'll be as brief as I can. I gave it a 3.5. I liked the game. There were a lot of really positive things that came out of it. But like I said, it's just something that I probably wouldn't have gotten into myself. And so I want to give it a high score because once you sort of understand it and appreciate it, but you have to get to that point first. And if you can't get over that first hurdle, then you're not going to play the game. So 3.5.
Okay. Cook.
I hate that I'm copying Griebs, but 3.5 as well. Maybe I'll say 3.75. Maybe that'll be acceptable.
This will be the first 0.75 in the history of the channel.
I have to make sure that I can update my graphics. Damn it. But yeah, world building is great. Seems cool. Story. I'm excited to see how all the decisions we made impact the later games in the series. So I'm actually interested in seeing you play, but gameplay to me just seemed very blah. Maybe it would have been good back then, but nowadays, no, not appealing to me.
Sorry, can I just really quickly qualify? I should say, I should have said this. The first half of the game was probably 2.5 out of 5, and the second half was a 4.5 out of 5.
Oh, so, I got
it. It's a little bit better context in terms of how I like the game.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 5. This is my first perfect score, simply because I know that the game is very special to me, and they did a fantastic job. I did not get disappointed by anything in this game. Loved every minute of it. It is my kind of game, something that I just appreciate very much. So definitely 5 out of 5. And before we wrap this video up, Griebs, what was your favorite crew member? Who is your favorite person? Based on what you got to know about them, do you have a favorite?
So I think because of the background of it, I think it's got to be Rex. Knowing the whole genophage stuff, it's really cool. Having this, I'll stop talking. Go ahead. That's all.
Okay, Rex, nice. Cook.
Tali, I think, was pretty neat. I liked how she was that interaction we had in the bottle episode, where she was on the deck of the ship and was like chatting and learning about all this stuff. I thought that was cool.
I am with you. I like Tally the most as well. She's on a personal journey that makes her feel like a living creature, and she definitely to me was the most interesting of the people. I really enjoyed having her come with me on the mission. So
Sorry. I want to ask one question just to step back to the review for a second. Is there?
Yes.
I imagine you knew you were giving this a 5 out of 5 before we even started, but was there like any chance that anything could have happened with this that would have made it so you didn't give it a 5 out of 5?
Renegade.
Hold on a sec. Actually, Cook, that is a fantastic question. I know Griebs joked at me for saying that saying lots of times. I'm gonna renege my 5 and give this a 4.5 out of 5.
You're saving the 5 for Mass Effect 2, probably.
Breaking news. So, if you guys remember, we had 2 major bugs. One that repeated itself multiple times with the camera issue bugging out, and 2, there was a save file that I couldn't go to because it loaded me into a shadow world where my character animation was just running nonstop, and I had to revert to an older save and redo some of the story. So I had a couple bugs that definitely added to some frustration levels, and I forgot about those. Looking at the game with rose-colored glasses, I didn't think about it until you just brought that question up. So, yes, 4.5 out of 5 is my amended score.
Okay.
Yep. There we go. And speaking of enjoying the game with characters, I very much enjoyed playing the game with you guys. The decision to go with the team decision making and dialogue wheel was awesome. Very much enjoyed that. Even though you're right, there's sections where I was cringing at what could happen. That to me made it exciting, and I know it kept you guys engaged. So thanks for being a part of this, and thanks to all of our viewers out there who have stuck with us and watched this game. So
thanks, Mom.
Join us next time. Yes, thanks to all of our family. Join us next time for the next game that we got in the pipeline, and we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.